to First Mover, your first global look at today's action in the Bitcoin, blockchain, and digital asset space. I'm your host, Christine Lee, and joining me is my co-host, Coindesk Managing Director of International Content, Emily Parker. Good morning, Emily.
Good morning, Christine.
Good morning. We actually met for the first time in person in the park today. It was good, very surreal it was the second time. Very surreal.
Yes.
All right. Things are coming back. Checking in on Bitcoin. Right now, the Coindesk Bitcoin price XBX index is currently trading at $41,150. Bitcoin is down, about 2.4% over the past 24 hours. And the Coindesk ETX Ether index right now is at 2917. ETH also slipping almost 4% over the past 24 hours. And the new DFX, Coindesk DeFi index right now is at 511, trading down about 6.6% for the day. The most reliable reference prices for institutions since 2014 are now published under the Coindesk brand, trusted globally as the leader in crypto news, events, and data. All right, so Emily, taking a look at this pullback, wow, there was a bit of a scare. Bitcoin fell below 40,000 the other day, but quickly climbed back up, so it seems to have resistance there. There's a lot of potentially headwinds in the form of Evergrande in China. The Fed is going to make a decision today. We have options expiring at the end of the week, as well as comments from the SEC.
Yeah. So, with the whole Bitcoin crash, if we can even call it a crash, because this happens with Bitcoin all the time, it does seem linked to the global markets. But Gary Gensler's comments were very interesting. This is the SEC chair. Did not seem to have impacted the price necessarily. But basically, he was saying something that he's said in the past, which is that private forms of money, don't really historically have a very high success rate. I think it might on the surface sound more negative than it really is. I think what he's actually saying is that, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies should be in the larger regulatory framework. There should be investor protection. I don't think Gensler is saying that cryptocurrencies should not exist. It's just a warning about what happens when private forms of money exist outside of the regulatory system.
He also said something to the extent of cryptocurrencies are basically poker chips. But let's dive deeper into that.
I think he was talking about stable coins specifically and, using an analogy that they are poker chips at a casino, which, may be true of some stable coins. I don't think all stable coins are created equal. But again, I do think if we're sort of assuming, looking on the bright side here, I think what he's really saying is that they just need more regulation, not that they should be extinguished entirely.
All right, let's dive deeper with our crypto markets guest.
The Crypto Markets Update is presented by Grayscale, the world's largest digital currency asset manager.
All right, joining us now to discuss the crypto markets further is Stephen McClurg, CIO, Chief Investment Officer at Alternative Assets Manager of Valkyrie Investments. Welcome, Stephen, to the show as always. So again, we saw resistance at $40,000 yesterday. What's your analysis of Bitcoin's price swings this week?
Hi, Christine. Thanks for having me. Well, first of all, we have Evergrande in China, which is a company that we've expected to blow up, and I've expected to blow up for almost a decade now. The Chinese real estate market has been in a bubble for a very long time, and Evergrande has really been the catalyst there. So, but I think that contagion is going to be largely contained with China injecting about $18 billion worth of money into the banking system to help stave that off.
This all raises a larger question, though, which is what does Evergrande have to do with cryptocurrency, right? I mean, it sort of makes sense that these fears of contagion might affect the stock market, but why is it affecting Bitcoin as well? Bitcoin, in theory, is supposed to exist somewhat independently of these cycles.
Yeah, Bitcoin and other crypto assets, really are a risk asset, just like any other type of small cap currency or commodity or even equities, as you mentioned. So anytime that there's a major risk off play in the broad markets, you're going to see, any type of a liquid asset being sold off along with it. So we do expect to see these kind of swings in the crypto markets, just like we did in March of 2020 when the broad market sold off as well.
Mm-hmm. Any headwinds coming from the Fed? They're expected to have a decision released today. Also, Washington is dealing with a debt ceiling in mid-October to mid-November.
Yeah, I think that there might be a little bit more choppy waters here to come in the next few weeks with the debt ceiling talk. It's a proposal has passed the House, and now it has to go up to the Senate, which means that 10 Republicans have to vote in favor of this in order to avoid a filibuster. I think eventually, as we always do, there's going to be a lot of noise in the press, and the debt ceiling will be appeased, and we'll move forward with their lives as normal. But it will cause some choppiness in the market, and we should expect to see further choppiness in the crypto markets until then.
Do you expect to see some Fed tapering?
Yeah, I think tapering is definitely on the table. It's a split vote at the moment. Yeah, that's a really good question. When is always hard to predict, but probably in the next 3 to 6 months, I do think that we'll start seeing some Fed tapering. Just given where the economy is going in the U.S. and with inflation fears that are hitting.
So one thing that's been interesting about this week and Bitcoin's fall is that if you look at the price charts, it's kind of like a sea of red. I mean, most coins are sort of following in tandem with a few exceptions. I mean, what's that about, right? Like in theory, again, these should all be sort of very different financial instruments. They all have different functions. But why are we seeing such an extreme correlation between just so many different types of tokens across the board?
Yeah, that's right, Emily. And what we've seen over the last few weeks has been, sometimes the DeFi crypto assets have been going up, while cryptocurrencies have been going down, while protocols have been acting independently of both of those as well. And that's the way the market should work in normal times. But again, with the risk-off situation with China and with Evergrande, and even with, as you mentioned, talks of tapering, talks of debt ceiling, all risk assets do tend to act the same. So it's just been a across the board risk off move. Now, I think as these fears start to subside, we will see the broad markets coming back. I do think that Bitcoin, the way that it looks right now is based on the futures market. We should see Bitcoin going above 50,000 in the next month or so, and that should carry the rest of the crypto market with it.
Mm-hmm. Just looking short term again, the options are set to expire at the end of the week. Billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin options will settle this Friday. So, how are you positioning your investments amid this volatility?
Well, we've actually been buying the dip this week, and we'll continue to buy dips as they present themselves. Options expiry this week is actually a double witching, which usually comes with a lot of volatility. So we're looking to position ourselves on Friday as we are through the weekend and next week to continue to buy dips. But our long-term and even midterm view on Bitcoin is very positive. So we're looking at buying as much as we can until then.
Mm-hmm. Also, last month, Coindesk learned of a surprise regulatory filing by the Nasdaq to, quote, list and trade shares of the Valkyrie XBTO Bitcoin Futures Fund. So how many Bitcoin futures ETFs do you have right now? What's the status of that?
Yeah, so we have 2 of those ETFs on file at the moment for futures, along with several other firms that have also have filings. At the moment, I really can't comment on when those could possibly be launched or what our status is. But we are very positive that that things will likely move forward in some way. There's very constructive conversations at the moment to try to work together to bring something.
I'm assuming you're focused on Bitcoin futures because of comments made by Gary Gensler, chair of the SEC, that he's more comfortable with putting together or approving a Bitcoin ETF that is based on Bitcoin futures. So why two? And it seems you're one of the first to, in the pipeline at least, to be considered for this. So it might give you a first mover advantage, or at least some advantage.
Yeah, so we listen to comments from the staff and from Chairman Gensler very closely, and when we think that there's something in the tea leaves, so to speak, then we take action. So we filed two very different filings based on two sets of comments that we have heard and dissected. One of them is what's called a 33 Act S1 filing. The other one is a 40 Act N1A filing. Both very different structures, and but also very very similar in the fact that they hold Bitcoin futures. So we saw these two structures as two different approaches to try to conform to what Chairman Gensler had publicly said, and really one's a hedge against the other, so to speak. So that if
trying to cover all your bases, Stephen.
That's exactly right.
Well, good luck on that. All right. Thank you very much, Stephen. That was Valkyrie Investments Chief Investment Officer Stephen McClurg. Coming up, checking in on Coindesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day. That's coming up.
Coindesk Indexes, the market standard for crypto assets since 2014. Our trusted data powers billions in publicly traded funds. Coindesk Indexes are the standard used by institutions, and they're the key for investors looking to understand and access crypto markets.
Coindesk Bitcoin Price Index, XBX, has been instrumental to Grayscale, enabling investors around the world to access Bitcoin through a regulated, familiar product.
Coindesk Indexes enabled the early adopters to build crypto investment vehicles, and they're already trusted by a new generation of global investors.
All right, welcome back. Let's have a quick check-in on Bitcoin. The Coindesk Bitcoin Price XBX Index currently trading at $42,520. Bitcoin slightly down about 1.1% over the past 24 hours. And the Coindesk Ether Price ETX Index right now, that's just below $3,000. ETH is down about 2.3% for the day. And the new DFX Coindesk's DeFi Index is at 514. DeFi taking a hit, down 6.1% over the past 24 hours. All right, time to check in with Coindesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day, who is also the editor of Coindesk's The State of Crypto newsletter. Good morning, Nick, as always. So the U.S. government has sanctioned a cryptocurrency exchange for the first time. Give us the details.
Good morning. Yes, yesterday the United States Treasury Department announced that it was filing sanctions against SUX.io, which is nominally a Czech Republic-based exchange, but it appears its offices are actually in a couple cities in Russia. It does not appear to have a physical presence in the Czech Republic. And the Treasury Department is placing these sanctions on allegations that up to 40% of SUX's transactions are basically, to or from addresses associated with malicious actors, including quite a bit of ransomware proceeds. So this is kind of the first step in the U.S. government's ongoing fight against ransomware. And basically what they're saying is, no U.S. persons are allowed to transact with SUX. No U.S. persons are allowed to, do any kind of business with them. Any property will be seized. And, they're trying to block SUX out of the, any part of the American financial system.
Nick, Gary Gensler made a range of comments yesterday. What, in your view, is the greatest takeaway?
So a lot of what he said kind of, retreaded stuff he said before, joking about, quote, spilling IL-3 or, possible wildcat banking. But, what really struck me is he made a comment at some point about how he doesn't think, a lot of crypto is really going to last, which kind of seems at odds with his previous remarks when he was lecturing on crypto at MIT. He made a comparison to private monies and noted that private monies generally don't last, but maybe he has a point, but he is also, arguably one of the most powerful regulators who has the ability to kind of make this determination, but within whatever regulatory framework he unveils ultimately, or how the SEC approaches regulations around crypto. So it definitely seemed to me to be a very telling comment.
Gary Gensler came into the fray and very knowledgeable of blockchain. Everyone knew him as the professor at MIT talking blockchain and courses, teaching blockchain courses. And there was a kind of a theory that potentially he would introduce some more crypto-friendly regulations, understanding the technology and the innovative potential it has. But is that so? Are people, now people are not so sure?
Yeah, this is something I think I even wrote about back when he was first nominated or confirmed. I think a more nuanced view would have been, whatever he does will be more and better informed than, previous heads at the SEC. But, if you look back to his tenure at the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, he did a lot. He had a lot of work in just building out new regulations around derivative products and complex derivatives products, and basically trying to rein in what at the time would have seemed like a pretty wild sector of the financial market. So I think if you look back at his tenure, this shouldn't be too much of a surprise that he's come out making all these claims and statements about crypto regulation. But I think I should point out that he hasn't actually instituted any of these regulatory reforms yet. So we have yet to see if if his bite matches his bark, or if this is kind of the warning shot to try and get the crypto industry to rein itself in on some of the more questionable parts that he has pointed out. And it's very possible that he still has yet to, however he defines the actual regulations, if there's guidance or if there's more enforcement actions or whatever, those might be a bit more tailored than the kind of wide net he's been casting around the sector as a whole.
Very good points, Nick. All right, we await his report on stablecoins forthcoming in the next couple of weeks. All right, that was Coindesk Managing Editor of Global Policy and Regulation Nick Day. Don't forget to sign up for the State of Crypto newsletter on Coindesk.com. And coming up, we'll talk to a platform, an NFT platform that has raised $50 million from a star-studded cast of investors.
The Coindesk Spotlight is brought to you by Nexo, the place to earn on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and more.
NFT platform RECUR has yet to launch, but already they've raised $50 million in the Series A round at a post-raise valuation of $333 million. Joining us now are RECUR co-founders and co-CEOs Zach Bruch and Trevor George. Welcome, Zach and Trevor. All right. So your NFT platform hasn't launched from what I can tell. I looked all over your website for proof of concept. I found a sign-up sheet, a white paper primer on NFTs, but you've already attracted the financial backing from the likes of Stephen Cohen, Gary Vaynerchuk, as well as Joe Lubin, Jason Derulo, and more. So how are you attracting this investment? What are you showing them? Where's the product?
Sure. So RECUR builds white label NFT solutions for some of the world's largest global IP. We're blockchain agnostic, meaning we work and mint on numerous different blockchains, and we are 365, so we're always on. We have not launched our first project yet, so you're right. So stay tuned for that. But we're working with a ton of the world's largest IP, and we can't wait to announce more soon. Alongside our Series A announcement, we announced NFTU, which will host the official collegiate NFT experience, and we're really excited about that.
But sort of just to underscore Christine's point, so what was the pitch that you were making to investors? Because usually they do want to see some sort of proof of concept or a product. And so I'm just curious. I mean, it's an impressive feat to raise that much money before something has actually been sort of demonstrated.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine what the due diligence process is like. So, first of all, it's a huge testament to our team. I come from the licensing and creative background. Zach comes from the crypto and exchange background, and together we built a world-class team around us. It's not like, we haven't been hard at work. We've been developing our platform, and we are literally months away. And so we've been enamored by Steve Cohen and the digital team, Mark and Ben, and have gotten to know them extremely well over the past few months. And we had a very aligned vision around how the metaverse was going to be built out and how to approach the NFT space and what a platform really should look like. And we were thrilled that that we chose each other as partners.
So in terms of what you're showing them, are you saying that you're going to launch a platform, but you're showing them some sort of IP that you're integrating and working with in collaboration with other NFT platforms or blockchains right now?
Sure. So let's talk about NFTU, which we announced alongside the Series A. So NFTU, we are launching. We have a partnership with Veritone and the Collegiate Licensing Company to bring eventually the entire college experience into NFTU, and that's where all college NFTs will trade. NBA Top Shots is where all the NBA assets trade. NFTU will be where all college NFTs will trade. That's one of our properties that we are announcing. We're not going to share more today, but we hopefully can be back soon and share more with you about what we're working on. But we are working with the world's largest IP. You will hear more very soon.
And what blockchains are you
do you expect
using?
These big investors to be, these big name investors? How involved do you think they will be in the process going forward?
Yeah, think of them like partners, right? We bounce ideas off of each other. This is a very nascent space. There are projects that have been successful. There are projects that have been unsuccessful. And so really the reason we love Steve Cohen and digital is because they're the right partner to be with us in the trenches as we navigate this nascent space. So, as much involvement as you would imagine any partner in the trench with you as time goes on. We speak every week.
And what blockchains are you using? Are you more privy to Ethereum, Solana?
Yeah, we're working with a bunch of different blockchains. We're able to mint onto numerous different chains. We're working with any EVM compatible chain today. We're targeting pretty much any top 20 to top 30 blockchain. For us, it's really more about where the community is, where they want to take the NFTs, where they want to bring their assets. If there's a really interesting application built on Solana, for example, we want to make sure our NFT could go there. If there's a great gallery that they want to bring their NFT to on Ethereum, of course, it should be able to be there. So for us, it's about how can the fan, the consumer, the purchaser be able to take the NFT wherever they want, right? That's true ownership. So we don't know where the entire NFT ecosystem will shape out, which chain all the value will accrue to. And for us, we want to make sure that we're blockchain agnostic. Our assets will be able to, we can mint anywhere. We've also built swapping capabilities. So even if we mint today on Ethereum, we can swap elsewhere later on, so that if there was even one specific application or one game or one social media network that you wanted to interact with or engage with in the future, you can. So that's our approach.
What's the biggest risk going forward, or the biggest potential risk to kind of the success of this product? Because, the NFT market is sort of rife with, risks.
Yeah, I think as more global IP enter the space, we're talking about, the largest movie and television studios, character IP, and sports brands entering the space. And most of their current fan base isn't accustomed to crypto or blockchain, and have maybe read about NFTs, but have not purchased. And so, it's going to take some education to get the broader global billions of consumers that are fans of these IP as they enter to get accustomed to NFT and to start to create that emotional attachment. And so I think, as we look to scale, as the NFT industry looks to scale across the world, I think education is going to be at the center point of bringing in the community at large.
Right. Another criticism of some NFT platforms is that they're actually, if their servers go down, the NFT goes down with it. It's not IFP. I forgot the exact technical term, but I wonder, how can you ensure that that doesn't happen on your platform?
So again, eventually everything is going to be decentralized. You're talking about everyone's been criticizing crypto for years, right? Like not 4 years, for forever, right? There's always been criticisms, and eventually everything will go towards decentralization where that won't be an issue. So that's the ultimate goal: decentralize everything, decentralize all hosting eventually.
Yeah, I'm sorry, and the correct term was IPFS. If it's not on IPFS, it's not. It has the potential for going down. So is that? I wonder if you could weigh in on that.
Sure. I mean, you could think about hosting it potentially on Arweave or Filecoin, or there's all sorts of different things that you can do. Ultimately, it will lean towards decentralization, and that's the goal of all of crypto, right? And for us, our approach is, yes, we want to work with the largest IP in the world, but one thing that we told you early on is we want to make sure we're blockchain agnostic, meaning even on our platform where we're selling an NFT, we want to make sure the user can take that NFT off our platform and engage with the rest of the crypto ecosystem and the crypto community. So for us, what's super important is democratizing access to everything and having so many people be able to participate. If you look at Axie Infinity, for example, literally people are able to play to earn, and it's changing their lives. So NFTs have a massive impact. Similarly, all of crypto does, right? It's breaking down barriers. And at RECUR, that's what we're trying to do. So we're bringing the world's largest IP into the digital ecosystem via NFTs, into crypto, and then a whole new customer base that might not have ever even been in crypto is going to enter and access crypto for the first time via NFTs.
So what I'm hearing is interoperability between NFT platforms on this new platform you're creating. Okay.
Exactly.
Very interesting.
With tons of different metaverses, marketplaces, systems, applications. We want, we don't view them as competitors to us. They're complementary. We want to bring more people to them. For us, we're in this because we want to democratize the access. We want to make sure everyone can participate, and we want to bring the world's largest IP into the crypto ecosystem.
Yeah, well, I think interoperability is very key and a very ambitious project. So thank you, Zach and Tyler, Trevor, for sharing your insights. We got to wrap it there, but thanks for joining us. That was RECUR co-founders and co-CEOs Zach Bruch and Trevor George. Time now to check in with Crypto Twitter with our tweet of the day. This one from Monero's former lead maintainer, Riccardo Spagni, also known as Fluffy Pony, tweeting, I am very pleased that the United States court has released me. I am actively working with my attorneys on a way to return to South Africa as soon as possible so I can address this matter and get it behind me once and for all. That's what I've always wanted to do. Coindesk has confirmed that Spagni was released. He was arrested in Nashville, Tennessee in July at the request of South African authorities and charged for crimes unrelated to the crypto industry. All right, that's it for First Mover. Thank you, Emily Parker, our Coindesk Managing Director of International Content. Lawrence Luton is off. We hope to have him back tomorrow. I'm your host, Christine Lee. I'll be back live at 3 p.m. with All About Bitcoin. Coming up at noon is The Hash. You're watching Coindesk TV.